What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Bungie, and sadly, we have to talk about Bungie yet again with these layoffs. It's just hit after hit after hit. I don't think this deal is working out exactly the way that PlayStation thought it was. It's just not been very good, and I'm not super into like Bungie products, so I can't talk too much about like the actual quality of like what's happened with Destiny 2 and all that jazz. But there's been a lot of restructuring. There's been a lot of old guard, that was at Bungie that's been let go. In fact, even I believe today, the narrative lead that was working on maybe the last 5 years of Destiny 2, story content, he was let go. To which people are kind of split on, because some people were like, well, was he the cause of why Destiny 2 kind of got worse? And there is a lot of like mixed feelings, I would say, about it. I mean, look, it loses more people. A lot more people got laid off today. That sucks. I mean, I always feel bad for the people that get laid off. Times are tough. Like, this is not a great time, as we know, right? I mean, like 20,000 jobs, I think, in the gaming industry have been lost in the last like 18 or 20 or so months, right? It's insane. So there's a lot of people looking for work. I hope that they land on their feet. I hope that they're able to at least put food on the table, survive, right? Like you hope for that, I think, for any like reasonable human being, as long as they're decently good people, okay? So we have a layoff, and in terms of the numbers, Jason Schreier, funny enough, actually does the best job of breaking it down. Funny enough, somebody took a picture of it so that anybody who's blocked, which is pretty much half the internet, can actually see it. Sony's Bungie is shrinking from 1,300 people to 850. 220 are laid off. I think it's like 225. 155 is moving to Sony, and 75 is moving to a new studio. The quote from their CEO: "We were overly ambitious. Our financial safety margins were subsequently exceeded, and we began running in the red." There's also, there's other things too. Like Jeff Grubb is out there saying Herman Holst runs Bungie now, which was kind of that I don't know if I care all that much, but again, it's because I'm not really into that kind of ecosystem. Like, nothing Bungie makes is going to bother me too much, whether it's good or bad, just because of like my situation versus what they make. But you go back years ago where they talk about the purchase with PlayStation and that things weren't going to change, which is all lies generally when companies say that anyway, right? But, nothing's going to change. It's not going to lead to layoffs. They're still in control. And reportedly, there's been all this like behind the scenes drama with like the board members and all that jazz. And it certainly seems like PlayStation runs the show, right? And now even this line from Jeff Grubb, like, Sony's or PlayStation's, top dog is literally the one running the show. Like I said, old guard's been removed. There's talk of like, can PlayStation do anything to even get out of this situation? Even to what, kind of breaking down those numbers, right? So they laid people off. They had to get those people out. The people that are moving to PlayStation, they say it's more about like they've worked tirelessly, with PlayStation to find roles for people inside, Sony Entertainment and all that stuff, and to kind of make it work. And the behind the scenes rumors, right, is that they were actually going to lay off more people. And well, maybe those two things are combined, right? But the rumor is they were going to lay off like closer to 350 people, but they were trying as best, which I will say, actually, for as bad as it is, right? And, you can have whatever opinions you want on the corporations that are laying these people off. Again, so many people have been laid off, and, there's been criticism towards the Xboxes, the Activisions, the PlayStations of the world that have laid people off. I will give some credit, absolutely, where it's due. Like, if that's true, like, that is a good thing. That's definitely good. If Bungie was going to do 350 and PlayStation said, well, we can try to find roles for like 100-ish of them, and they did. They did that. I commend that. And also, like, yes, PlayStation, I think, is to blame. Bungie is to blame. I think Bungie is more to blame. A lot of the reports is that Bungie was doing this to themselves for years, right? For years, and if they were not bought, I don't know if it was even like formally said by them or whatever, but if Bungie was not bought by PlayStation, they would be in so much more trouble. The 1,300 people that they did have, say, yesterday, they probably would have had half. Like, they were going such in a bad direction that they needed that purchase to kind of inject new life, new funds, all that stuff into the company. So I would blame more Bungie. Anytime there's a Bungie layoff, I blame more about Bungie than I do about PlayStation. I mean, yes, it's the same thing with like a Microsoft or anything. Like, you buy these companies, and then if they're not giving you what you thought, and maybe you were thinking way too high, then you go after that company. It's more your fault. But what we kind of know, I imagine Sony buys them. Now it's baffling why Sony would buy them in the well, we know this is a live service stuff, right? But it's like they buy them. They know Bungie is struggling. They know Bungie on their own would be like a fraction of itself if they weren't saved by PlayStation. And it still hasn't worked. It still has not worked years and years and years later. So, yeah, I don't know how this purchase could be looked at as a positive or a success or anything right now. I mean, it's a complete, I would say it's next to a complete failure. The one somewhat exciting thing is that they're making a new studio, right? So, like, Bungie is taking 75 people. It's like a action sci-fi type game, and they're making a kind of inside PlayStation Studios. They're making a team. So they're sending 75 people over to do that, you know, a couple, 100-ish people, a little bit more than 100, right, to just work for PlayStation, and then the rest of the people laid off, and then obviously you still have 850, you know, at Bungie. Marathon's still happening, Destiny is still happening, and that's the story. So not ideal. Again, I mean, like, I want to make the video because it does impact people's lives. It is an interesting thing in the gaming, you know, atmosphere and all this stuff going on. You know, until a game really catches me, like, I did play, actually, Destiny 1 and 2, but I played it very early. It's transformed into something that, to be honest with you, I just can't hang with. Like, and that's a me problem. I literally cannot hang with what Destiny 2. I think I would start up Destiny 2 and literally not know where to go or what menus mean and stuff like that. I mean, it's so confusing to me nowadays, but would I try Marathon? I think I would. Would I try Destiny 3? I think I would. I don't think I'd make it very far, but, you know, there's a little disconnect between what I can say because it's just I'm not too into it, but you don't like to see people lose their jobs and this entire deal seemingly looks like a disaster. You don't love to see that stuff. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.